Okay, this should be a fairly short video today. This is the last of the stuff that I have coffee dyed in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Just a couple things to show you. All of it's coffee dyed, not any more dip dyed items. All of the things that I've shown in the last couple of days are up on the Etsy shop. None of this stuff will independently be in my Etsy shop. This is all stuff that's either for personal use or will eventually go into a kit of some sort. Because my biggest demand is for plain paper and lined paper, I prioritize those and I do everything else in small batches, so it takes me a little while to get to the point where I have enough papers to offer plain, lined, and then a variety of ephemera to go with those two in a kit. So I did find today the Prince Charming Isn't Cool tag. This was part of my 100 Days of Collage. This is day number 48, and it's on one of the leftover tag pages from those nature journals I was making. It was in a pretty obvious spot. I am sure I must have stared at it, or glanced at it, or looked at it several dozen times based on where I finally noticed it. It was just yesterday, it clicked in my brain, and I went, oh my god, that's where that is. And I have literally had to have looked at it dozens of times based on where it was. So it's funny how the brain just doesn't acknowledge something until it's ready to, I guess. So I have these 4 items that have been coffee dyed. These are cash receipts. This is a couple of books worth. And these are carbonless. So, double your pleasure, I guess. So this thinner paper marks up and dyes generally lighter than some of like the 24-pound paper, or even just the lined notebook paper. These came out pretty good. I like the color. They're lighter, which is good because you don't want to obliterate what it is with too dark of a dye. But I did get some pretty good marks off it, so I was happy with that. And I have quite a bit of it. These have been going out as freebies for a little while now. When I have an order, and I like to put in some goodies. So anyone who may have placed an order, you may have gotten a couple of these or one of these. And so that's one of the things that I coffee dyed recently. These are mostly for personal use because of the pattern on it. I can't imagine anybody wanting to buy it. The lines are pretty far apart, and it's out of a spiral bound notebook thingy. It's meant to be a journal, but this is most of the pages. There were only a few pages that have been used, or that were didn't make it through the process, basically. So this is a thicker paper, so it actually took the dye pretty well. It dyed up pretty dark. It was stark white to begin with, so it was this color. And I'll just do a quick spin through those. Came out with some good effects. A little bit grungy papers, which I think we all know that I like the grungy. So that's those. And these I've been using for personal notes to customers in orders, and just for, sometimes collage work. I didn't keep it as a journal, even though I really like journals, because the lines for writing are a little bit farther apart than I like. And I was not in love with this design at the top. It's cute, but it's not really me. So that's what I've been doing. I've kind of been using it as stationery. It's a fun paper. These are rapid memos. You can get them sometimes at Walmart, usually in the office supply store. These came from Amazon, I think. And it's a 2-part thing. So you get this part, where you see the line there with the perforations, and then there's a second part. This is the part that was ripped away. And this is, you know, the thing that held that on there. So it's a carbonless thing. And I did a little demonstration. This is my second attempt at the video. Hold the phone. Let's see if I have what I do with it. So I wrote on this is the front part that has the carbon, you know, it's built into the paper. I'm not sure how it works exactly. But I wrote on it, and it came out faint, but even after being soaked in the coffee dye, let me see if I can get this centered and make sure you can see it. I don't know if you can because the arm is over that part of the paper, but it says this is where it is right here, right above where my finger is going across. So even after soaking for not an insignificant amount of time in the coffee dye, that carbonless component is still active. So if you use this sort of thing, I've seen some people talking about, you know, they use some carbonless items. That can remain active, and if you put it against a light tea-dyed paper or a stark white paper, you may get, you know, and then you use it as a journaling thing, you may get some ghosting onto the paper. Whatever you write on here might go onto the back. Now you'd be fine on the copy that's the back because it doesn't have a carbonless component. But these are a fun way. They're super light, and these ones, for whatever reason, I got good effects on these. They're very grungy, but you can still, because the lines were dark enough, you can still see what it is. So those were fun to dye, and they dried super fast. That's one of the fun things about lighter papers like this. They're fun to dye, but they also, it's usually less than half the drying time of, say, a 24-pound plain paper. And so you get it done faster. You can get more done. And with the thinner papers, you can also get more in a batch. This is the last thing. For a upcoming coffee dyed kit in the vein of the 50 lot that I showed you with the orange papers. These are some music pages, and I'll just do a quick flip through. Some of them have illustrations on them. The ones with these little holes here, these all had illustrations on one side. This one has polka dot on the other side. No, it doesn't. So, oh, this must have been when I needed to. So when I was talking about it gets really light when you need to clean the pan. So this is one of the polka dot papers, but it's super, super light because this is the point at which I realized it was time to clean the pan. So now it's not doing the thing I want it to do. I got some good color variation. I got some good markings. And then we'll do it from this other side as well. So, because sometimes the effects will be mostly on one side of the paper or the other, and sometimes it's the whole paper. It's just what happens. This is a nice dark one here. So, and this is the larger paper. I still need to go through. I have a couple of books I dismantled that had the smaller size paper. I think they were hymnals. And I want to see if the paper is strong enough and flexible enough to survive going into the coffee dye. So that is actually all I have for this video. It is officially Monday the 22nd. But it is only like 1:30 in the morning, so I'm up super early, late, depending on how you want to look at it. I was in Miss Laura's live stream this morning, and I was so excited she was on because I thought perhaps she wouldn't be on for a while because of some of the things going on in her life. But there she was, taking strength from the community, and it was amazing, and I felt kind of like a jerk because I was in there and I was saying hi and I was active for just the first little bit of that. And then I was doing some other stuff and I fell asleep. She got my watch time because the video was still on, but I fell asleep and I didn't see anything that she did beyond a certain point. So that's what happened today. I have been, unfortunately, stuck in an opposite cycle. I mean, I don't mind being up in the middle of the night. I actually kind of enjoy it because it's quiet, for one. When my son's home, he'll probably be getting up in a couple hours here now. But when he's home, he's almost always gaming. And at this time of the day, like if he gets up between 3 and 4, which he often does, he generally won't be loud. But when he comes home from work in the afternoon, he is very, very loud. And I have reached a point in my life where I value my quiet time so much because the world is just such a noisy place during the day. And then he comes and brings it into the house, and we live in a small apartment. And I'm glad he's enthusiastic about what he loves, but it's not like it goes on for just an hour and then he's done. If it's a day off, it could go on for 8 or 12 hours, and that's a long time for somebody to be screaming at a computer and people through a headset. And I often wonder how they put up with it, because he's screaming into his headset, and presumably they also have on headsets. It's a wonder they're not all just deaf as a post. I would not want to be on the receiving end of that. It's bad enough being in a room away from it. And it's not that it's loud, it's that it goes on for so long. So I love that he's enthusiastic about what he loves, but I personally would prefer more silence in my life. So there is that. I will be on with another video in the next day or so. I know I'm making this in the middle of the night on Monday, but this will actually be for Tuesday. I'm trying to only post one video a day, and if there are gaps, there are gaps. You know, sometimes you don't feel like posting things. Oh, I know the other thing I wanted to show. Let me see how long this video is. 12 minutes. Let me just real quick show you the test pages for the music paper. So this is the music paper I said I wanted to test. I love the length of it. It would make nice pocket pages for sure. I could make a nice super big tag, I guess. But this is, it's a fun and an off-size paper. It's not a size paper you see in a lot of books. So I just did a few sheets, and darn it if they didn't come out splendidly. Got a nice variation there. A nice dark color. It takes the markings very well. So I'm happy with this, and I am definitely going to do the rest. I'll put that like that. So that's the original color. It's an off-white, because once again, here is white for contrast. So it's not white to begin with, and this is what it winds up as. And this was in a pretty concentrated coffee bath, so fun for that. And then I did test one other thing. Let's see here. I can do this. Here we go. So for this one, we'll pull the white away. Here's the original. These are the Goosebumps books. I think I mentioned before, I read the whole series last year. I finished it, and I didn't just read them in last year. I finished the entire original Goosebumps series, and I mostly enjoyed it. It's I call it Stephen King light. If you want to raise future fans of Stephen King type horror, then these are your books. They're not. I got in trouble on Goodreads for saying something similar to this. They are not well written, and they are not fantastic books, but they hold a certain place in my heart because my children really love them. My biological son, especially, it helped him get into reading more and to read more widely. So I do appreciate that. But these are not super great books. They are not well written. And with the exception of a few, they're not terribly scary. They're more comical in their horror. But I will admit, there are a few that totally creeped me out. So this is the depth of color I got. And of course a couple of polka dotties. It took the dye pretty well. You know, I got nice dark papers. Not much in the way of color variation, but I love the saturation of the color. I got some markings, but not a lot. This didn't take to the markings as well as the music paper, but it did take marks. So I'll dye up the rest of what I have more than likely and offer it up on eBay and Etsy, because somebody who crafts, you know, coming up for Halloween, if you are wanting to do a Halloween one, but you don't want to go like super creepy and gross or whatever, you don't want to actually make it scary or use elements that are more adult, you want something that's more traditional Halloween campy fun, this would definitely be a way to go. My only lament is that there were no illustrations in any of the Goosebumps books, and I think that would have made using them in a journal fun. But if you have nostalgia for this will be a fun way for some people to, you know, get to play with that a little bit and make nice additions. This is a little bit bigger than a mass market paperback page. It's both wider and taller, I think. Here, let's see. Yeah, this is the traditional mass market. But you can see if you wanted to turn this into a tag page, because I turn these into tags all the time. For example, I did, this is made from mass market pages right here, and it's just a big giant journaling tag. You could use this at the size that it's at, depending on how journal your big was. Yes, Amy, that's the right way to say it. So, based on how journal your big was, yeah. Oh, some days. Based on how big the journal you're making is, you can see that you could trim away the edges and still have something this size or even slightly smaller, because that, yep. So you could come out with something even slightly smaller than if you just trimmed, if you didn't care about getting you could get something quite small that would make a nice art card size. You could glue a couple of them together, or you could back it on to tea-dyed paper or cardstock of some sort. So these would be fun, definitely, I think, to work with in Halloween journals, or if you were going to make a Goosebumps themed journal, that would be cool. But did I show this with the, so where's the original page? So there's the original page, and there's the dyed pages, and then again there's a white page. So these are, again, still, most kids' books are not on stark white paper. I think that's because kids' hands are grubby, and that's probably a good idea not to start out with something that's brilliant white. So here's white, that's the original color, and then the contrast for the white and the coffee dyed. So it came out pretty well, I think. So I'll be doing more of those for sure. And that is officially everything I had to show you. So we are done, and if you watched all of my video and you made it all the way to the end here, thank you ever so much. I do appreciate it. Whatever time of the day or night that you find yourself watching this, I hope that you are having a wonderful summer and that you are filling it up with whatever brings you joy and happiness, things that make you smile and laugh, because we all need more of that. I wish all of that for you and more. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!